Thank you for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. Special guest today is Manny Cid, right? Former mayor of Miami Lakes,
Yes.
recently appointed to as the Senior Advisor for Economic Opportunity with Miami-Dade County. I get that right?
You did. Appreciate you, Mike. And
Right.
I always love coming to community newspaper. I mean, this is a special building in Miami. There's always some incredible energy here. I leave super inspired. So thank you for the opportunity.
Our pleasure. And let's talk about Strive305 because it's one of the projects, and there's a logo up here.
Yep.
And if people want to go to the Strive305 website, I think we're going to show in a minute. So let's talk about the mission of Strive305.
Well, the mission originally it started under COVID, right when COVID was going on. So a lot of the programming was virtual. There was a lot of great folks that started the program, worked on the program, but primarily it's the vision that the Mayor Daniela Vincalva, has for our economy. And now her main mission and her main goal with Strive305 is creating an economy that works for all, right, here in Miami-Dade County. Because I think what's happened in the last 10 years is everybody's focused on tech, right? Tech. They rolled out the red carpet, but a lot of folks here locally feel that they've been left out, right? And there hasn't been that equity per se throughout the economy. So one of our goals is to do that and to ensure that the mayor's vision of having that Miami-Dade economy that works for all of us comes to fruition.
So why would somebody, a small business in Miami, contact Strive305?
Well, there's many reasons. Number one, access to capital, right? We have the premier public-private partnership in South Florida, and that's our partnership with the Dade County Federal Credit Union for the RISE program. A lot of folks, when I first started in this position, I only saw, I think last year they serviced 149 businesses, and they did about 4.8 million. And I was like, how is this possible? This is prime -1. Everybody should be applying for this. I mean, this is the best interest rate. So we've really amplified that work. And I think in the first quarter alone of this year, they serviced over 50 businesses and about $2.1 million, right? So our goal is to service over 200 for about $10 million, right? And so number one, that's why you have to visit. Number two, free permitting service assistance. Every business owner throughout Miami-Dade County, they talk about how arduous, how difficult permitting is, be it in unincorporated Dade or in municipalities, and we provide that service for free.
So, because we don't know how to get it done as a consumer. How many times has the average person done it? None. And so, and I've been in that cycle where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, and then they keep rejecting you. But in this case, you can go to Strive305, and you can help them with that process, including getting their occupational license and walking them through the permits.
Well, we assign someone to you. There's a small business team at the building department, and there's somebody that gets assigned to walk you through the entire process, right? From intake, from the process of asking questions, hey, what do I need? From intaking your plans to giving you your permit to then helping you close out that permit and open up for business.
Sometimes, Manny, all we need is somebody to take a little attention to us, to hold our hand and walk us through to get a good feeling instead of complaining about all the things that we tend to complain about. But you brought up about the mayor's initiative is to reach all of Miami-Dade County. And I can tell you that right from this table right here, shows in 305 in the last 2 weeks have been one in Spanish, one in Creole, one was in Portuguese, and then the other one was in English, all right? But it says what the county's trying to do. They're trying to reach everybody that is here. And it's really, really wonderful when we watch the show and participate in it. It really fulfills a lot of our goals here is to be inclusive with everybody.
Well, and shout out to community newspapers. I mean, you all have been great partners for Strive305. You've really amplified a lot of this work and opened up your doors. I mean, you're a perfect example of folks who are not only out there to provide a service, do advertisements, help businesses, but to say our doors are open for everybody. So kudos to you all, because a lot of the work that we've been able to achieve in the last several months, you've all said, hey, let's go. We'll work together.
I wish I could take all the credit, but we have a strong team here. And our father, grandson, my father was very open like that. And so after all these years, I was able to look through all the stuff and find the good stuff that was there. But my hat's off to him. And here we are many, many years later being able to provide that service. So again, so you're in charge of this. You've been this has been since November, January, February?
January. I started first week of January.
So I know we went over it before, but what was it like when the county contacted you and you said, we want you to head up this operation? What was it like for you?
So look, I have to give major credit to the mayor, right? People throughout our country want to see folks work together, right? And I think having this opportunity really showcases what that is all about. The mayor, the day after the election, sends me a text, says, Manny, you ran a great campaign. You had some incredible ideas. Let's see how we can bring some of those to fruition in the future, how we can collaborate. Never thought anything of it. I reach out to her after the November election as I'm transitioning to the next phase in my life outside of public service, of public office. But I wanted to continue public service in the administrative side. I really saw throughout my time in Miami Lakes or even in the state legislature, the ability to make things happen sometimes lies within that operational side, right? That administrative side. So I was applying for city manager positions throughout South Florida. I was looking at different areas where to go, and I reached out to the mayor. I was like, look, I'd love to sit down with you and follow up on that opportunity to share with you some of the ideas that I would have moved forward if I had the opportunity. I didn't think anything of it. We sat down, talked about it. A couple of weeks later, met with Francesca de Quesada-Covey, who was the chief economic development officer and innovation officer for the county. We met, hit it off, and the rest was history.
So you mentioned about state legislature. So tell us what you did there.
So I was a senior legislative aide to two state representatives. One during session 2006, and then another one from session 2007 all the way through 12. So I had an opportunity to appropriate money in the state budget. State budget back then was 60-something billion. All right, today is over 100+ billion. Right, so let's talk about a state that has really grown. But back then I had an opportunity to participate in the process for FIU opening up their medical school, right? I debated part of those bills in committee when they used to allow aides to do that. I wrote legislation.
There was something that you got through. Which one was that?
The carbon monoxide legislation. So today, since 2007, every home that has a garage that has been built since 2007, every home that has a fossil fuel burning appliance as well has to have a carbon monoxide detector, and that was written into the Florida Building Code back in 2007, and I had a chance to write that. It was an ordinance. It was a resolution from the city of Hialeah. It was a very sad situation that happened. Some folks had lost some young people had lost their lives, and it inspired a resolution from the city. We represented Hialeah, Miami Lakes, Hialeah Gardens, Miramar back then. We received that from the city, and then I had the opportunity to craft that and help shepherd it through the legislative process.
And then you became mayor of Miami Lakes?
I decided to run for city council back in 12. There was a crisis that had happened, and then I immediately became, at 29, I was the vice mayor. There was no mayor. There was a constitutional crisis, so I had to run a lot of the meetings. And then at 33, ran for mayor and became the city's youngest mayor. And
so people understand where you come from. You also have a small business, all right, in the Miami Lakes area, and that's important for people that they contact Strive, that we're not talking about people that don't have that experience, and including one of the hosts, Tico.
Yep.
Right. He sits right over there, and he's unabashed. We celebrate him when he comes in the building because he's so outgoing. Another small businessman and family business for, I think, 40 years, if maybe more.
And they came from Cuba, right? That was a business that I think his grandfather used to operate in Cuba, and they brought it over. So talk about a generational success.
Can we add, Lorenzo's producing the show. Lorenzo, can you see if you could get their website up? And then
Strive305hub.com.
And we have right here about some of the different things that you have. This is to help you along your way there. Why don't you talk about some of those things?
So yeah, there's a lot that we do. I mean, from the hub to our public-private partnership with the Dade County Federal Credit Union. We have 5 Strive305 offices throughout the county. I'll be in South Dade. I know Grant was out there not too long ago. We have one in South Dade that we partner with the Beacon Council and the Dade County Federal Credit Union. We have one in North Dade, the same partnership. We have an incubator, one that gets operated at Hub by Office Logic. And and that gets operated by Yami, who is our ambassador. That is the president of Camacon, which is the women's Hispanic chamber in our country. We have the partnership with you all for the English, Creole, and Spanish podcast, newsletter, market matchmaker program. So if you have an idea and you don't have the capital to move that idea forward, we help you, right? And we put you at a local market, right? One of these farmers markets, community markets for free for a 2-week period to help you test the viability of your idea. So what we don't want folks to do is that they come up with this idea, they get a second mortgage on their house, a HELOC or whatever it might be, spend all this money and not understand how the marketplace works. So this program does it for you all. We have a partnership with, we work closely with Presente Supermarket. They've already helped one of the local manufacturers. We have an AI permitting assistance program on the readiness report. We have a high school economic development fellowship program. We have walking grubs.
Did your team put this together?
We did. And my team is myself and Anthony Bonamy, who is amazing. He's an individual. Day one that I started, opened up his Rolodex, hit me up, said, Manny, I'm looking forward to working with you.
You hear he said Rolodex, Lorenzo?
That's that's an old school lingo, but it's a Rolodex on your phone, I guess. But yeah, we have walking grubs, so we're doing activation in cities. We're working on a silver tsunami marketplace as baby boomers are retiring. We're launching the XM radio.
Go ahead and announce it.
Right? So
look
right here.
Right there you go.
All right. So think about this. All the great content that happens right here at community newspapers for entrepreneurs. We're going to take that and partner with Slam Miami that operates the only XM radio station, the only high school with a radio station inside of their school, and they're going to amplify that to 35 million XM listeners throughout the country. And that's Larry Milian, who does an amazing job out there. I think we're going to be there next week, right? We're going to check it out in person, and we're going to kick off that partnership. And then also Mike and Grant, they're going to be working with those folks and sharing some of the best practices, right, in the newspaper industry, which I think there's nobody that does it better than them in South Florida. So really exciting. We also just launched a Cafecito Tuesdays, which is this program. We know that small businesses cannot afford marketing dollars, so we go out there, we bring radio stations, we do activations on TV, and we help these folks do that. We're working with the library system. You can use 3D printers for free. You can use graphic and design studios for free, and that's under the maker spaces at our libraries, completely for free. And lastly, we're launching Strive305 ribbon cuttings throughout the county. So we felt a lot of these small business owners, micro businesses, sometimes they feel it's very difficult to get elected officials out to there. So we wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to get a ribbon cut.
It is important for these small business people to know that they matter and that somebody's paying attention to them. Imagine they go home and they tell their family, hey, listen, these from the county, these are the people that came out. That makes such a huge difference because we all understand the struggle of small businesses, that somebody paid attention.
Oh, yeah, and amplified their work and told their story, right? Imagine that. It might change. Who knows who would hear it, right? And that could change the trajectory of their work.
If somebody wants to get on the Strive305 podcast, could they do?
So join our newsletter, because in our Strive305 newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks, it's not as big as community newspapers newsletter, but hopefully one day.
Thank you, Mr.
Hopefully
Mayor.
one day we'll get there. But if you join our newsletter, it outlines how the process works. So Tico does the intaking of the requests, and then he works with Irvans and the team to look at the schedule going forward. And again, if there is a business that's more comfortable or their products are geared towards the Haitian community, then we work with Candace and Hackoff, which is the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce, and they do an amazing job at that. And the same thing with
They're with the chamber?
So Candace is actually the executive director of the Haitian American Chamber.
Who knew?
You see?
Who knew?
That's,
how much better could it be? And it's like, wow, that's very important for us to be able to work with organizations that have groups of people that care about business. So one of the things I've seen is I've received an email from the county, and it had on there some of the videos from Strive. So if somebody gets on the show, the county makes that available, I think, on the website or perhaps on the newsletters, which is a real big plus for some of these people. Imagine that they could take that home and say, Mom, look, I'm on that show over there. And I think it was brilliant to be able to do that. I'm not sure which list it was, but keep on doing that and keep promoting it. As I mentioned to you early next week, we have an event here with, happens to be Animal Services. Annette Jose is going to be here, the director, plus some of the other folks. I've asked them to bring some dogs and cats. Community newspapers can pay for the first 5 adoptions. So we're going to bring your case with you because we hope you adopt a cat. Don't tell your wife or your kids, just take it home.
Yeah,
right?
We'll do.
And so the county has a lot of services and this one right here is right up our alley, that we see that we're able to help folks. When people walk into the building here and they can see these small businesses that are here, it means something to those folks. I can see the excitement on it. Last week we had a young lady here from the Women's Chamber of Commerce, and I introduced her to Candace from the Haitian Chamber of Commerce. It was like they were lost buddies.
That's amazing.
And as you mentioned, this is like a town square, and it's really because of the people that come here that make that. So I want to thank you and the county and Strive305 for continuing working on this.
Look, and I'll share with you something real quick. There's a lot of things, and you hit on that. There's a lot of things that the county does that nobody has any clue. So I'll give you an example of one of them that you all helped us amplify that work. Fit to Lead. It's a program that came to fruition via the agreement at the Kaseya Center, right, under the Peace and Prosperity Plan, where small businesses can sign up and get interns, sometimes on a yearly basis, paid interns coming to your business, and it's paid by Miami-Dade County through that agreement. Nobody, I mean, I would talk to businesses all over the place. Nobody knew that existed.
Lorenzo, we'll get the address in a minute.
Yeah. So we through the work with you all put it in the front page. I mean, now, and they got a ton of small businesses now applying, which makes it very fulfilling. Now it adds for the kids that are in that program, that are joining the program. Now they have a myriad of options, right? That they can work at, things that they maybe want to do in the future. But there's a lot of stuff like that at the county that sometimes the story never gets told. So through partnerships like this, we're amplifying that.
And those internships, when it's easier for the business to hire them because somebody else is paying for them, not only is it an opportunity for the business, but for the student who can say, hey, listen, I spent 6 months over there, right? And really, that's the step for them being able to be productive in what they're doing in the future.
Oh, undoubtedly. Sometimes folks go to college, but they have no work experience. So I tell kids, yeah, absolutely go to college, but you got to intern. You got to learn some real world skills, right? Not just the theory that you might learn or the way to think in the university system, but you have to start putting things into practice. So this is a great program that does that and gets kids ready for the future.
We had a young high school student that was here part-time in the video business. He would show up when he would go do videos for us. People would give him gigs. Hey, can you do this video for us? Can you do that video for us? And now he's in college, but he's here a lot.
That's amazing.
And he's hired people here to do the videos. So he's in college. He tells his parents up in Gainesville or Tallahassee, wherever it is. All right, which one is it, Lorenzo? In Gainesville. And he has people doing his work. That came from being essentially, it happened to be a paid internship for us here, but he was in high school when that started, and what a difference that's made in his life and, of course, in ours.
And that's why we've changed the way that we look at economic development. Traditional economic development, which is still needed, right, focuses on the major industries throughout our society, right? On the medical side, bringing in the big hospital chains, the big groups. On, the industrial side, the way that we do it and the way that the mayor really wants us to focus is something called entrepreneur-led economic development. And that ensures that everybody matters and we focus on those folks that want to start things. Why do we have to recruit, why do we have to recruit Amazon here to Miami-Dade County instead of creating an ecosystem that we could have the next Jeff Bezos from here, right? And vice versa, all these different industries. And that's what we're looking at, is to inspire that next group of entrepreneurs, not just to think, hey, I want to go work for X, Y, and Z corporation. No, hey, I want to create the next idea that changes the world.
let's talk about the Beacon Council. You mentioned them a little bit. So tell us what they're doing, so people can understand the concept of the Beacon Council.
So the Beacon Council is the county's wing. A large chunk of the budget comes from Miami-Dade County, and they're the economic development partners for Miami-Dade County. Our director, James Constam, who's amazing, came from the Beacon Council, and their work is really to recruit those large industries to Miami. They were the ones that brokered the deal for Carnival. Carnival now consolidated all of their headquarters, right? Moved their folks, I think about 500 people throughout the country, folks from out west in California and up in the Northeast in New York, from those offices, and are consolidating them here in Miami-Dade County. And the Beacon Council played a very important role through that process. But now the Beacon Council is working very closely with us on the smaller scale to understand that economic development is holistic, right? It's just not those large industries, right? That we have to focus. The true drivers of our economy are those small business owners. 80-90% of that engine in our society are people who risk their capital and open up a business, not traditionally. So they're working with us closely, and now in South Dade and North Dade, they're joining us once a month to make sure that everything's available.
And there are plenty of business clubs, chamber of commerces that are around, and business association from Aventura all the way down to Homestead, where people can find like-minded people, and they can go there and they feel comfortable about it. We do a lot of events, and we have people of all sorts, from the regular guy working on Sunset Drive, all right, to some very affluent people. But what a wonderful opportunity is for people to coalesce and figure out, what can we do, to make a difference?
Yeah, but you all do it very similar to us, and when we do it, Tico, it's all about how you make people feel, right? So you could have all these chambers everywhere, but some of them feel very exclusive, right? The way that you all do it, you're like, hey, it's an open door. Let's go. Let's all work together. You're a competitor. We can work together, right? And I think the way that you do it, the way that folks like Tico, the way that we want to do it, is we bring everybody on board, right?
So some very successful people say a good salesperson sells features, a better one sells benefits, the best one sells feelings, right? When people walk in, they want to feel good. When they leave, they want to have a great feeling about it, because they may forget all the discussions, but they'll never forget how they feel with that.
100%. Yes. Nobody remembers. So even happened to me now in Miami Lakes. A lot of people don't remember, Manny, you built this road, you did this. I had a guy the other day come up to me and says, Manny, I'll never forget, during Hurricane Irma, you came to my house and you brought me a bag of ice. I didn't remember that, but he goes, I'll never forget that, and I'll always be grateful for that. He didn't remember that all the roads that we did, infrastructure, the policing, everything that we did in the city, but they remember. And that's where you all play. Like, people remember, hey, the way that Grant and Mike, the way that Mike made me feel today. So you're absolutely right. And that's a lesson we got to teach more of our businesses. Yes. Is how they make you feel. Can we put up the
website? We got a minute left, right? No, we can't put it up. But what's the address?
Strive305hub.com. And again, shout out to Wells Fargo and the Miami Foundation. They made the hub possible, and this is the cornerstone of Mayor Daniela Vincava's. This is why she brought me in, to ensure that we have that economy that works for everybody.
People can go to the website, they can figure out what they want. Email addresses there, phone numbers.
Strive305 at miamidade.gov. If you need capital, if you need permitting assistance, networking, legal services, accounting service, whatever it is, literally whatever it is, we'll make it happen for you.
I do want to tell you one thing. When we were at an event and we were talking, then somebody came and they stood there and they were talking, so I backed away. I'll never forget what you did. You saw me backing away. No, you went like this. I'll never forget that. Like the guy with the bag eyes. Yeah. So made me feel really good there.
Appreciate that, Mike.
All right. Hey, we're going to look right over. What camera are we going to look at? The middle one. Folks, thanks for joining us. Remember, take care of yourselves and your family. Have a good day. Bye now.